All right. So commercial contracting. I know by now you may have gone through the book, and at least, if not the way you are supposed to or you want to, at least I know by now you have a fair idea of the content of commercial contracting. You remember cost plus arrangements, at least express terms, blight terms. Remember maybe one-off contracts, framework agreements. Maybe you even remember specification and even the elements of binding contracts like offer, acceptance, and the rest. At least you remember, you have a fair idea of these. So let's just do a summary of the entire book as quickly as we can. In Learning Outcome 1.1, we looked at documents for creating commercial agreements for supply, and we looked at invitation to tender and request for quotation. We looked at the difference. We also looked at specification. Yes, specifications are also part of contracts. They are part of the contract. And we looked at the types of specifications, performance and conformance, and even the advantages and the purpose of specification. We also looked at key performance indicators and performance management frameworks, KPIs. Those of us who have already done it in L4M3, they are familiar with key performance indicators. And we looked at contractual terms. But here, when we got there, we deferred to the last chapter because that is where we'll be looking at the contract terms. And we also looked at pricing and other scheduling or schedules. We learned that schedules are additional information. They are just like an addendum. Okay, and they provide more clarity to some of the terms within the contract. We looked at subcontracting, schedule, health and safety schedule, pricing schedule, even the site, information. They will all be part of the schedule. The GPS, the exact location where the contract is supposed to be executed. We looked at all that. And even non-disclosure schedule or agreement or confidentiality. We also look at these are all examples of schedules, and you have them in a table form. It's very examinable. So when we are studying, we can also look at that portion. Then we also looked at contract variations, that there can be variations in contracts, there can be changes to contract. And we looked at the price variation clause, or the contract price adjustment clause. Contracts, we learned earlier that contracts are not, designed to be fixed in the sense that it cannot be changed. No, it should be flexible. Modern contracts are flexible and they welcome change because anything can happen in the external environment and that can impact on the contract. We call it risk on contract. Risks to contract, and we have risk in contract. So risk to contract are risks that are external to the contract or external environmental factors impacting on the contract. So modern contracts are designed to be flexible, okay? And they welcome changes, hence the contract variation. Okay, then we can look at Learning Outcome 1.2, where we looked at the elements of a legally binding contract. What is an offer? And we learned that a contract starts with an offer. You start with an offer, then it ends with acceptance. Okay, so offer, we looked at intention to create legal relationship. We also looked at acceptance and capacity. Forgive my background. We looked at offer. We looked at intention to create legal relationship. We also looked at capacity and acceptance. And we learned that with intention to create legal relationship. For instance, there are situations where the parties may not have an intention to give legal effect to the contract. So they use the clause or the term binding in ana only. So when you see binding in ana only, it means the parties do not have any intention of, giving legal effect to the contract or having the contract enforced by the court. When we looked at, rebuttable presumptions of the court and all that, then we also looked at capacity. We said we are not talking about, being of sound mind and not being under the influence of alcohol or being under undue influence and all that. Those ones are granted. But here we are looking at corporate capacity. Do you have the capacity to enter into the contract in terms of you being registered as an organization? Have you registered? What are some of the documentary evidence that you are a company that is worth dealing with? So certificates of incorporation, memorandum of association, these are some of the documents that, gives you the capacity or gives an organization the capacity to enter into the contract, among other documents. So we looked at all these. We also looked at counter offer and even acceptance. And we said that silence isn't acceptance. Acceptance should be communicated to the offeror. Acceptance is valid when it's within the time frame or the time given by the offeror or within the period that the offer is valid. That is the period you can accept. Any form of acceptance, be it written or verbal or even by conduct, is acceptable. Depending on the context of the case, it's acceptable unless the offeror prescribes the mode for communicating acceptance. Apart from that, you are free to respond using any mode. Then we also looked at the battle of form and precedence of contract terms. What's the battle of form? The back and forth of contract terms. I send you my contract term, you say no, you are my payment terms, 60 days after delivery. It's unacceptable, but you want payment to be made 30 days after delivery. That back and forth of the contract term usually creates a battle of form. And we used Butler Machine Tool Company versus XLO as a case, because whenever you talk about battle of forms, you can only, allude to that particular or refer to that particular case. Everywhere you talk about battle of forms, is Butler Machine Tool Co. versus XLO. So let's take note. They can give you a similar case and ask you to determine what is happening. Is it a battle of form situation or something else? Then the precedence of contract terms. And here we looked at precedence of contract clauses. Which of the clauses within the contract or the documents within the contract is the most important? Because a lot of documents from a contract can be, you have the, special condition of contract, general condition of contract, and that data sheet, the specification. You have, the schedule of requirements in some cases. Which of these documents making up the tender is the most important? So the order of precedence provides that, order of importance. So we can say that, the most important document here is the special condition of contract, and that comes first. As for the tender data sheet, is the last thing to consider. So if there are some uncertainties in the contract and we have to fall on one of these documents to work with, if the special condition of the contract, which is the most important document, is okay, then we are fine. We'll move with that. But if there is a problem with that one, that is where the contract would have a problem. But that one is the most important, and there's nothing wrong with it. But there's something wrong with maybe the tender data sheet, and that is the least on the, on the order of importance. That's the last thing to consider. So we can still move ahead with the contract. So the order of contract terms or documents tells us which document is the most important in the contract. We looked at all that. Then the risks presented by contracting on suppliers term through oral contracts. We also learned that oral contracts are very risky because the parties may even feign ignorance or not remembering what was properly agreed or actually agreed, because they can fake remembrance. They can say they don't even remember what was said. Okay, so it can also not be audited. The oral contract cannot be audited, and it can even give rise to dispute and all that. You said this, we agreed on this. You said no, we didn't agree on this, because there wasn't any written agreement. So the correct form for contracting is always in writing. It should be written. It should be in writing so that we can always refer to it when there are disputes. Then we also looked at the Vienna Convention and the International Sale of Goods. Yes, then that with the Vienna Convention, the parties to contracting have a uniform. The Vienna Convention aims at even providing uniformity to contract terms and understanding of some contractual concepts or terminologies like offer. So what is offer in Ghana? Is it the same as offer in Nigeria or in South Africa or in America? The Vienna Convention seeks to unify the definition, the term, so that when we are dealing with suppliers outside, who subscribe to the Vienna Convention, is the same term, is the same, understanding of these offer and acceptance that applies. Okay, it's better than us understanding Ghanaians understanding offer differently, and maybe UK or America having a different definition of offer and understanding of what a valid offer is. When you are dealing with suppliers in those countries, it becomes very difficult, because your understanding of offer is different from their understanding of offer. That is where the Vienna Convention comes in to unify the understanding or provide a common platform or understanding, so that when we are both dealing with if we are engaging in contract, we know what we are talking about. If we say offer, we understand what offer is. It's the same thing because it's properly defined in the Vienna Convention. Then secondly, it also helps the parties to identify whose country's law, yes, applicable law also comes in, has, power or control over the contract. So if you are a Ghanaian supplier or buyer, and the supplier is in America, in the contract, the Vienna Convention prescribes or advises that we must both agree on whose country's terms rules the contract in the events of dispute. So whose country's terms or whose country's law should we use to, rule the contract when there is a dispute. Okay. Once we agree that the buyer's country's law applies, then that is fine. But if there isn't any agreement that Ghana's law should be used in the event of dispute, then the contract or the Vienna Convention advises that then it is implied that the country who is most closely associated with the contract will have its laws ruling the contract. So if Ghana is where we are going to execute, as the supplier is coming to perform the contract, then Ghana's law wins. If it is the supplier's country that a contract is going to be executed, then the supplier's country's law wins. That is all about the Vienna Convention. So let's recall, then we also looked at, misrepresentation, types of what's misrepresentation, the false, information of material fact with the intention to induce the other party into a contract. It can be innocent, it can be, ignorant misrepresentation, it can be negligent misrepresentation, or even fraudulent misrepresentation. Okay, so yes, I meant negligent, not ignorant, sorry. Negligent misrepresentation. Then we also looked at, commercial or contractual agreements for supply. That is where we looked at one-off contracts, simple one-off, complex one-off. Then we looked at framework agreements like standing offer. And in my explanation of standing offer, I explained the exclusive standing offer and non-exclusive standing offer. Then we also looked at the blanket order or call of contract. Which works just like blanket order. And with the blanket order, you just raise a big PO, maybe a purchase order, and issue smaller POs from the bigger one. So that's why it's called blanket. So a very big PO, maybe you're estimating 50,000, quantities, or buying 50,000, units within a period of 2 years. That's the PO, the blanket order. That's the big one. But you may not order all the 50,000 units within the period. Okay, every month you may order maybe 50 boxes or 50 units or 100 units every month. And that is also a PO within the bigger PO of 50,000. Every month you order maybe 1,000 or let's say 1,000. 1,000 makes sense every month. That is the smaller PO that you issue every month. Okay, so that's the blanket order. And here it allows you to preserve your storeroom, because it's the supplier who is keeping them for you. Instead of you ordering 50,000 units and putting them in your warehouse, the supplier keeps them, and they supply them once you place an order every month. So every month you need 1,000 pieces, they'll bring it, or 1,000, they'll bring it. That's how the blanket order works, and the call-off. And we learned that the call-off gives you an overall, or provides an overall commitment to supply. When you are using call-off contracts, there is an overall commitment for you to place an order within the call-off period. If it is for 2 years, you have to buy from the supplier, whether you like it or not. But with non-exclusive standing offer, you are free not to buy from the supplier. Yes, and even in some framework agreements, it's like system contracting. We looked at all that. Okay. Then we also looked at, framework agreements and framework arrangement. We learned that with framework arrangement, we are looking at you pre-qualifying suppliers or approving suppliers for use now or later. So once you approve suppliers and you have them in your list, your approved supplier list, is called framework arrangement. That one is just a framework arrangement. It doesn't mean you are going to buy from them all. The agreement is when you have, a contract with one of or more of these suppliers. So out of the approved supplier list, you may have a framework agreement with just 4 or 5 of these suppliers. And they are those you are going to place orders with. So you place an order and they supply. And you can have a framework agreement with 1 supplier or more than 1 suppliers. And depending on the type of framework arrangement, you can either choose to buy from the supplier or choose to buy from other suppliers who may not even be part of the framework agreement. We also learned that the framework agreement is just an umbrella word for all these agreements, like call-off contract, standing offer, system contract, blanket order. It's just an umbrella word for all of, or term for all of these contracts. Then we also looked at the use of mini competition. Yes, that is one of the options available to the buyer or the procurement entity. When you issue the tender and the supplier wins, yes, that's an offer, but you may not place an order now with the supplier because there is no need for the requirements now. So it can take, let's say, 5 months or 6 months before you even place an order. But before you place an order, you may want to still know if the price the supplier quoted 6 months ago is still competitive. So you subject the supplier to a mini competition. And here it's just like the bid, but that one is mini. It's not as big as the normal competitive bidding process. All you are trying to do is to establish the competitiveness of the supplier's price, because you may get a new supplier who may quote something lower than the supplier quoted 6 months ago. And when that happens, then you have to switch. So the use of mini competition is there. You also have the option to place an order with the supplier without a mini competition. That is another thing. And you also have the option to buy from other suppliers without using the supplier with whom you have the agreement. So these are the 3 options available to the procurement entity. Then we also looked at specification, the content of specification, factors we need to consider when developing specification. We also looked at standardization and variety reduction. Having a range of products, is it good? Yes, it's good, because in improving competitiveness or supply chain competitiveness, having a range of products gives customers a lot of options to choose from. But if you are limited, you have just one brand, or one portfolio of products, you limit the choice of customers. So it's also a source of competitive advantage, having range of products. Then, including social and environmental criteria in specification. We looked at that, how we can improve environmental and social criteria into our specification. And sorry. Yes, and we looked at looking at carbon emission, looking at the use of green materials, in whatever you are developing, or when developing new products, we can use the UK waste hierarchy, the reduce, the reuse, the recycle, and rethink. So whatever you are producing, or whatever specification you are developing, you need to think of these things. Is it recyclable? Can we recycle it? Can we dispose it safely? Is it environmentally friendly? Does it meet, ISO 14001 environmental management standard, amongst other things? So that's the environmental criteria. And you may even look at pollution. But when you are buying a car, I don't think you would prefer a car that consumes a lot of fuel. You need an economic one, or even a gadget that consumes a lot of energy. Energy consumption is also part of the specification. That's why when we are buying fridges and all that, we want those ones with the 2 stars and 3 stars. The moment you think about 3 stars, 4 stars, what we are looking at is incorporating environmental sustainability into your specification. Once you do that, you are a sustainable thinker, because you don't want to consume a lot of energy, and it will save you a lot of money in the long term. So that is how we incorporate environmental concerns into specification development. Then we also looked at social, dimensions. You are looking at engaging suppliers. Having developed the specification, you want a supplier who is also socially responsible, who does not use children, who provides safe and hygienic working environments for workers. A supplier that pays living wages, supplier that has a social accountability 8,000, certification, or is a member of Ethical Trade Initiative, or subscribe to ILO's principles, or core principles, So these are some of the factors that you may consider, and even considering small, medium enterprises, so that they can, get the opportunity to grow. You see, these are also, social concerns or social dimensions that should be looked at. And then we also looked at information assurance, the role of information assurance. And we said this is an aspect of information security, because having developed the specification, we want to control the storage of the information. We want to control the transfer of the information and even the use of that information. Okay, so that it doesn't get destroyed, because having invested a lot of money into developing a specification for a new product, which is going to be a unique point of sale for the organization, you want to preserve that information, from external people. That is where the pillars come in. See, so we looked at the pillars of information assurance, and think non-repudiation as one, because when you sign or when you approve something, you cannot say you didn't approve it. We also even looked at, authentication. We looked at integrity of the data. Means the data or the information should be protected. It should be accessible anytime. It shouldn't be destroyed. The specification should be the same way it is. And what we can do to protect the integrity of the specification or the information we have is by having antiviruses, firewalls, having backups. Cloud computing allows you to store your data in the cloud, so that when it's even, hacked or it gets destroyed on your machine, or even in the case of fire outbreak, you lose this information on your data systems, you can still access them in the cloud. Okay, it provides a backup. So your information will always be accessible and will always be available. See, so we looked at information assurance. Once you do that, it is called information assurance, just like quality assurance. Yes, you are taking measures to ensure that the information you have is protected. And even who is qualified or eligible to access certain information, authentication comes in. So the use of passwords and all that to deny access, unauthorized access, or unauthorized access also come in here. They are all part of information security. So when we talk about, and there is a standard for information security, that's ISO 27000. There's a standard. ISO has a standard for all that. Then we can also look at Learning Outcome 2.2, where we looked at key performance indicators, and we learned that KPIs are very, very important, and they can be qualitative or quantitative measures. Okay, and with that, we are able to manage contract effectively. And we can even motivate the supplier by having key performance indicators. Once they know that these are what you are looking for, they'll be motivated to perform, because you're only going to measure their performance against these performance indicators. Okay, so we looked at key performance indicators, and we underscored the importance of having a smart, specific, KPI. It should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be attainable, realistic, it should be time bound, so it should be smart. So in specifications or in key performance indicators, or in the development of KPIs, we should incorporate the SMART concept. Then we also looked at service level agreement, and we learned that service level agreement is specification for services. It's specification for services. So you want to tell the other party or the service provider that these are your expectations. So if you don't see these things, then you are not getting a good service. So it can be for cleaning service, it can be for catering service, it can be for warehousing service, it can be for security service. Because service is intangible. Service is not something that we can touch or we can see, and it's something that we can experience. We usually use our experience, what we want to experience, to develop the service level agreement. So that if it's for catering, for instance, you want the food to be served in a very neat environment. You go there and the venue is very clean. That is one indicator. And when you sit down and place an order, at least within 5 minutes, you should be served. And this is an indicator, a KPI in a service level agreement. And even the time the cafeteria should even open. Maybe it should open at 8 a.m. By 8 a.m., yes, the place should be accessible. And by 5 p.m., you should close. Even the menu that should be served, amongst other things. These are all service, elements of service level agreement. And it's specification for services. So if someone says services cannot be defined, it's a lie. It's just that it's difficult to define services than to define actual products, but it's possible. It's possible, and we can use the RATA model, the responsiveness, the reliability, the empathy, assurance. These are all measures of service quality. Okay. Then we can look at, yes, I think we looked at that, and even the typical KPIs measures. And here we looked at success factors and key performance indicators. We said quality is a success factor, and the KPI is the number of rejects. Delivery is a success factor. The KPI is on time and in full delivery. These are all, key performance indicators. Okay. Then we also looked at the next chapter, which is chapter 3, contractual terms for contracts. What's an express term? What is an implied term? And learn that express terms are terms that are explicitly stated in the contract. We can give examples, like subcontracting term, payment term, force majeure, even confidentiality, pricing terms, just name them. Indemnity and insurance. Can even have liability. You can even have, liquidated damage clause. You can even have, liquidated damage clause, indemnity, amongst others. These are all boilerplate terms, even dispute resolution terms or clauses. Which dispute resolution mechanism do you want to use? So these ones are all express terms. Then the implied terms are assumed to exist, and they exist by virtue of the nature of the contract, or by common law. That's where caveat emptor comes in, and caveat vendentor. Buyer beware, supplier, you should also beware. Contract can also be implied by statutes, like the Sale of Goods Act, and even by the need for business efficacy. Yes, you have to make sure the purpose for which the contract was entered into is achieved. If it is not achieved, then business efficacy, has failed. You see, so we looked at all these under implied terms, and we even looked at the custom of trade. It's also one way that, terms can be implied. So even though they are not written in the contract, the court assumes that these things exist. And what they usually use is reasonableness. The court will always use reasonableness. So like the custom of trade, How long does it take to ship a container from UK to Ghana? There is a record. And there are people who ship goods from America or from UK to Ghana. Once we get them, they can say that it should take you about 2 months. And that is what the court will use. So that's a reasonable time. So 2 months, 3 months, the goods should arrive. So why did it take you 5 months, 6 months? It's not really reasonable time. So yes, the courts will use all that, and even payment term. And I also mentioned that yes, payment term is supposed to be an express term, but even when it is not part of the terms, there is a way the court will imply it, and they always use reasonableness. What is a reasonable payment term? Maybe 30 days after delivery. Okay, let's look at the worst case scenario. At least for 3 months, 90 days. 90 days is enough. It's a reasonable time within which payment should be made. So if you don't make payment, or if you didn't make payment within 3 months, then it means you've done the wrong thing, and the court will have to deal with you. Then we also looked at the use of model form contracts. We looked at model form contracts like NEC 4. We looked at JCT, or Joint Contract Tribunal. We looked at IMEC and even FEDEC. These are the most common model form contracts that we looked at. And then we also looked at key terms in contract, and I've mentioned some of the terms, express terms, payment and pricing, and the rest. And we also looked at pricing arrangement. That was the last thing we looked at, pricing arrangement, the use of pricing schedule, and the use of fixed pricing arrangements. We looked at fixed pricing arrangement. I think I sent you the schedule of rates also, and the price schedule. I sent it to you on Telegram, so you can have access to the difference, the schedule of rates and the price schedule. Then we looked at fixed pricing arrangements, and here we mentioned firm fixed pricing arrangements and fixed pricing arrangement with contract price adjustment clause. If it is firm, it means you cannot change it. It cannot be changed. It's only when the scope of the contract changes. Other than that, the price is fixed within the period. And it allows the buyer to budget. You can budget. Once you know that the fixed price is 100,000 Ghana cedis, that's all. You don't monitor the costs. You don't. You plan and budget. But we learned that suppliers don't like this. They don't like firm fixed pricing agreements. They don't, because it makes them less competitive. Or if you ask them to give you a fixed price, they cannot use today's price. They have to increase the price. So if a bag of cement is 50 cedis and they are pricing, they won't use 50 cedis. They will use maybe 70 cedis, because the price of a bag of cement can increase next year, March, or mid next year, maybe somewhere June. And when it increases, who is going to pay for the difference? Is it the buyer or the supplier? That is the factors they usually consider, or these are the factors they usually consider when fixing firm fixed prices or providing firm fixed prices. And that's the estimate. So they don't like it. It makes their bid too big. Their price is so huge and not competitive. Then we also looked at cost plus arrangements. What are cost plus arrangements? We looked at cost plus fixed fee. So cost plus fixed fee. And we learned that cost plus arrangements are usually used when the price cannot be determined. When the price of whatever is going to be done cannot be determined. And it's usually prevalent in repair works, When you take your TV to the repairer and ask the repairer how much you charge for repairing your TV, he won't be able to tell you unless he first assess or examine the TV. He has to examine the TV, change parts and all that before he's able to tell you the price. So when it happens that you can say, okay, you just fix the thing for me, make the TV work, I will reimburse you, I will pay all the costs that you incur for fixing the car plus your workmanship. Sorry, the TV and your workmanship. Your workmanship is the fixed fee. Okay. So that is cost plus fixed fee. We also looked at cost plus award fee and cost plus incentive fee. And these two all have fixed fees in them. So it's supposed to be cost plus fixed fee plus incentive fee. Cost plus fixed fee plus award fee. Cost plus fixed fee plus award fee. You see, so we looked at that, and we also looked at target costing. We looked at target costing. So what is target costing? And I explained target costing and said that we usually do the calculation backwards. So you first look at the market price, how much customers can pay when you are developing a product. How much can customers pay for the product? And here you usually benchmark that against competing products on the market and their respective prices. So if your competitors are charging 5 cedis for the product, you cannot charge more. You may even want to charge less to be able to penetrate the market. So you may see maybe 4 cedis, 50 pesos. That is what the market can pay. Then how much profit do you want to make on that? Maybe you want to make a profit of 2 cedis. If that is the case, then your target cost should be 2 cedis, 50 pesos. So you have to work hard at incurring a cost 2 cedis, 50 pesos per unit. If it exceeds that, then that's a problem. It will eat into your profit. We looked at all that. And we also mentioned that the target cost of 2 cedis, 50 pesos can be an agreed cost with the supplier. So you want the supplier to produce for you. And you've done all this. And you want the supplier to produce at 2 cedis, 50 pesos per unit. If he incurs a cost more than 2 cedis, 50 pesos, you will share the extra cost, by using a given ratio or percentage, maybe 60-40. If the supplier is also able to save cost, let's say produce a unit item at, let's say, 2 cedis, instead of the target is 2 cedis, 50 pesos, but if it's able to produce at a cost of 2 cedis, then it means we've made 50 pesos savings, and that one can also be shared according to an agreed ratio or percentage. Okay, so whether you incur more cost or you make savings, we share according to an agreed ratio or percentage. That's the target cost. And we know what the target cost in this context is. That is the 2 cedis, 50 pesos. And there's usually a fee paid to the supplier also. Maybe, yes, we will give you, we'll pay you this amount if you are able to, make some savings or hit the target cost. So that ends the summary. At least about 55 minutes or 45 minutes for the summary is useful. Now we can start answering the questions. We have 42 questions. So you may want to answer the questions. Let's see if you can attempt the questions. I would want to have one of you read the questions. I think Newton may want to do that.
Yeah, Newton should read
it. Okay, so Newton, please help us by reading the questions, and let's see if we can answer. Hello, Newton.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Please, I hope you can see everything clearly. Okay. So you can. Hello. I think the network. We can hardly hear you.
Commercial contracting, question 1, question 2, and 3.
Yes. Okay. So So please start with the question 1. There are 42 questions.
Okay. Okay, sure. So it says complete a sentence by filling the blank spaces with the correct words. Contractual terms can be implied or expressed. Dash terms are linked to dash law and exist in all contracts, even if they are not clearly stated. Dash terms are written in contracts and dash through negotiations between both parties.
Okay. All right. So what will you want to put there? Yeah, so, the first dash.
Implied terms are linked to common law and exist in all contracts, even if they are not clearly stated. So the first dash is implied.
Implied terms are linked to common law. Okay, and exist in all contracts, even if they are not clearly stated. Yes, and I think I made mention of that there are laws or there are terms that are assumed to exist, even if it is not clearly stated in the contract or explicitly stated in the contract. Okay, so that makes sense. You can proceed now.
I think the second one, is express.
Okay, express terms. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what?
Into contracts and exist. Or the second dash is what is the main difficult for me.
They are usually agreed.
And I agreed to negotiation. Okay, so the correct word is agreed.
Yes, they are usually agreed through negotiation. So negotiation is meant to bring agreement. So we negotiate to agree amicably. Okay. So the terms are negotiated. So the first one is implied terms are linked to common law and exist in all contracts, even if they are not clearly stated. Okay. And express terms are written into contracts and agreed through negotiation between both parties. Okay. All right, we can move to question 2 now.
Okay, so drag and drop the stages into correct order of forming a contract. Start with the first at the top.
Okay.
Please let me try to answer this one.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first one is invitation to treat.
Oh, okay, good.
Then the second one is offer.
Offer, okay.
Then the third one is counter offer.
Counter offer, okay.
The last one is acceptance.
Perfect.
Boss, I think we can end the review.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So invitation to treat is an invitation to make an offer. It's not an offer. So I will first invite you to make an offer. Then you will come and make an offer. After making an offer, if I'm not okay with the terms, I may make a counter offer. I say, Masa, the price is too high. Reduce the price for me. It's a counter offer. Once we agree, you accept the counter offer. That ends it. Okay, so that is the correct order. That's the correct order. Okay, good. So we can proceed to question 3.
Okay, so it says, what is a one-off purchase also known as?
Okay.
Choose one correct answer.
Okay, one-off purchase.
B is single purchase.
Mm-hmm.
C is spot purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Slot purchase. And D is spot purchase.
Okay. So which is the most appropriate answer?
But Sebastian, do you want to, or I should?
This one, I give it to you.
Okay. I believe the correct answer is D.
Is D, okay. Yes, it's also called spot buy. It's usually in one of contracts. I just meet you, I buy from you and move on. Okay. I have no commitment to buy from you every day, all the time. One-off purchase could be a spot purchase. Slot purchase is nowhere, it's not even a term. Single purchase, stock purchase, these are all, CIPS constructions meant to confuse you. Spot purchase is the most appropriate response, or spot buying. Okay.
All right. Single purchase.
So single purchase it has no meaning.
It has no meaning.
It has no meaning.
So single purchase could mean that you are buying like in a unit, or I read something on single purchase where you are buying like a single purchase and a complex purchase.
That's a simple one-off and complex one-off. Simple one-off and complex one-off.
Okay.
It's simple, not single. It's simple. Okay.
So question 4. So look at the diagram. Ultimately, whose terms apply according to the diagram? Choose one correct answer. So we have the buyer with the FQ, the seller responding with a quotation, and then the buyer responding with a purchase order, and the supplier acknowledging the purchase order.
So the buyer. Okay. So the buyer sends an RFQ, the supplier responds, and the purchase order follows. Then there is an acknowledgement of the purchase order. Okay. So do you all agree that the buyer?
Yes, I agree with just then.
Yes. Okay. But I think one person just joined us. Let me see. Okay, Joshua. All right. So, Joshua, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm in Kumasi, but why am I very noisy?
Yeah, very noisy. Okay, I hear. All right. Okay. So you can mute your end now. Thank you. All right. So let's move to question 5.
Okay.
Question 5.
Complete the sentences about contracts by filling in the blank spaces with the correct words. When a blanket order has been placed, the buyer will make dash when they have a requirement. A blanket order fixes the dash of a product for a period of dash to enable both parties to be able to plan budgets effectively. The risk is taken by the supplier, and their dash levels will be higher than ideal.
Okay.
This often results in the buyer paying a dash price that could be available through spot buying, but it does not secure supply.
Okay. So let's start with the first line. When a blanket order has been placed, the buyer will make dash when they have a requirement. You may want to think of order. We'll make an order.
Call off.
In this context, it's called call off. When you make an order, it's called call off. Okay. So when a blanket order has been placed, the buyer will make call off when they have an agreement. Okay. And a blanket order fixes the dash of a product for a period, and that is the price. It fixes the price for a period of time to enable both parties to be able to plan budgets effectively. Okay. And remember, I mentioned when we're looking at firm fixed prices, it allows you to budget. then the risk is taken by the supplier. And their dash level will be higher than their ideal. And you remember when I was explaining blanket order, I mentioned that the supplier, once you place an order for 50,000 units, which is a blanket order, the supplier will not supply all the 50,000 units to you. That is what you are buying within a period. So it's the supplier who is going to hold that 50,000 cities for you. So their inventory levels will be higher than the ideal. That's one advantage of using blanket order or call-off. Is the supplier who keeps all the volume for you. Then this often results in the buyer paying a higher price than could be available through spot buying. But it does secure supply, yes. You see, so you end up paying a higher price than could be available because the supplier will also have to look at, consider certain costs, the cost of holding the inventory for you and all that. You see, so you may end up paying something slightly higher than what you would have paid through spot buying. Because with spot buying, you just pay and the supplier gives you the product or delivers the goods immediately. It doesn't hold the inventory for you. No, doesn't work that way. Okay, then we can move to question 6.
So question 6. Service contracts do not require specifications.
Okay.
True or false?
Is it true or false?
I think it's false.
It's false. Okay. Any justification for that?
Okay, so I think it's false, but so even you can look at a service level agreement.
Perfect.
And there's an agreement between a service provider and the one going to benefit from the service beneficiary. And you realize that the service level agreements explicitly desired levels of performance and quality. And there's a specification.
Perfect.
So service contracts require specification.
Okay. That's good. All right. Then question 7.
An offer can be accepted through silence. True or false?
It's false.
It's false. Yes. Offer cannot be accepted through silence. And that was Feldhaus versus Bindley. Yes, Feldhaus versus Bindley. It said silence is not acceptance. Silence is not acceptance. Okay, so it's false. Okay, then let's move on. Question 8.
The battle of forms relates to terms and conditions. True or false?
Okay. Is it true or false? Battle of forms. Okay. I'm not answering, no, you're answering. So
Me, I don't even understand the question. What's the meaning of it doesn't relate to terms and conditions?
No, it relates to terms.
It relates.
What's the meaning?
Okay. So it means this reveals the understanding of battle of forms. So if you understand battle of forms, you'll be able to understand the question.
So battle of forms, okay.
It's like offer and counter offer. It just gives it, just like in the previous diagram above, the buyer's terms detailed. Okay,
so they're asking battle of forms. Does it relate? So what is battle of forms? Can someone explain?
Yeah.
You understand the question now? It relates to terms and conditions because your payment terms. Maybe I send you a purchase order saying that my payment terms, I will pay you 60 days after delivery. You may reply and say, no, 60 days after delivery is bad. I want it 30 days after delivery. So it's all about the terms and conditions that we both may not agree on. Okay. So battle of forms relates to terms and conditions. So it is true. Okay, so at least we understand this. Okay, then we can move to contractual terms. The next question. Yeah, so
okay. Question 9. Contractual terms are always non-negotiable. Contractual terms are always non-negotiable. True or false?
Is it true or false? It's
I think
false.
it's false because
Yes.
contractual
Yeah,
terms are
they
negotiable.
can be negotiable or negotiated.
Besides, they are even using an absolute word
Yes.
always.
They always. You should look out for these things. Always. If you usually don't have always, if you see these things, you should know it's false. And if you even come here, question 1. So terms are written into contract and dashed through negotiations between both parties. They are agreed through negotiations. So the statements, contractual terms are always non-negotiable. It's not true. They can be negotiated. Okay, then the next question 10.
Okay, contracts can be verbal. Contracts can be written or verbal. True or false?
That one is straightforward. Okay. Yes, it can be verbal or written, so it's true.
Okay. The Vienna question 11. The Vienna Convention relates to trading in one country. True or false?
Okay, is it true or false? So if I am trading with a supplier here in Ghana, can we use the Vienna Convention? Or it relates to trading with suppliers outside your jurisdiction?
So the Vienna Convention relates to trading in one country. Is false.
It's false. So you remember when I was explaining, I made mention of you having or dealing with a UK supplier or an American supplier, where the contract is most closely, or the country that is most closely associated with the contract or to the contract. That is where, that is the country's laws. That is where the country's laws, rules the contract when it comes to Vienna Convention. So if the supplier is delivering the goods or executing the contract in Ghana, it is Ghana's law that wins. If it is in the supplier's country, then it is the supplier's law that wins. So Vienna Convention is not used within Ghana. If you are dealing with a supplier, local supplier, you don't use the Vienna Convention. It's only when you are dealing with, a supplier abroad. A supplier abroad. And you remember I made mention of the unification of terms like offer, acceptance. Our understanding of offer, if you are dealing with a supplier in America, that supplier may understand offer differently in their context. But the Vienna Convention seeks to unify, these things. And there are countries that have subscribed to this. They are part of the Vienna Convention. There are other countries who are not part. So if you are dealing with a country that is not part of the Vienna Convention, you have issues. So you only deal with member countries. Because that is where because you are both using the same definition of offer. If you deal with another country that is not a member of the Vienna Convention, he's not bound by the definitions in the Vienna Convention. So you may have issues. Okay, so the Vienna Convention relates to trading in one country. It's false. Okay, then question 12. Hello? Yes. I think Ghana is part. But I'll verify. Because I didn't see Ghana in the list. Ghana is a member of a lot of things. So I'll confirm and give you a more appropriate answer. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
So 12. An individual must have capacity for a contract to be legally binding. True or false?
Is capacity one of the elements of a legally binding agreement?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so it's true. We can move on.
Question 13. Framework agreements can be used in any sector. True or false?
It's true. You can use it in any sector. That's an agreement. Public sector, private sector, third sector. We all use framework agreements. Okay. You can move on.
Okay. So there is less risk associated with verbal contracts. True or false?
Okay, let's risk. It's false. Okay. Yeah, right. We can move on.
Question 15. One of purchases cannot be negotiated. True or false?
One of purchases. Okay.
I think that's
It's false. It
false.
can be negotiated. Okay, so question 16.
Okay, so question 16. Drag and drop the sectors to match them with the correct industries. So you have quality management systems, information security management, and then management, and then the ISO standards. So 27,001, 5,001, 9,001, 14,001.
Okay, so they intentionally gave you 4, but just 3 options. Okay, so quality management system.
14,000.
Quality management. Do you agree?
14,000. One.
14,000. 14,000 is environmental management. It's an environmental management system.
Under energy.
So it will be under energy.
Yeah, energy.
Yes.
But the first one will be 9,001.
Yeah, 9,001 is the quality management system. Yes. And the information security will be 27,001. These things, if you don't know, you don't know. Okay, so this is also a source of additional information. So there's a source of additional information. That's always what I say.
And which one is the 5,001?
That one is also under energy management. It's environmental. Okay, so it's also part of it. So we have quality management. Once you know the quality management and information security, the rest will all fall under energy management. You may miss some of the questions. You may not know some of the things, but if you are able to fill two correctly, the rest apply to the last one. Whether you know or not. And we'll see one of the questions. When we get to one of the questions, I will refer you to it. Okay, then question 17.
What are KPI measures?
Okay.
That can be monitored numerically known as. Choose one correct answer. Qualitative, quantitative, informative, reactive.
Okay. Quantitative, yes. You can monitor it numerically. Yes, quantitative. Okay. All right. Then let's move on to question 18.
So question 18. Complete a sentence by filling in the blank spaces with the correct weights. KPIs in the contract are used to measure supplier dash. KPIs can be dash or quantitative.
Yeah, so what do we use KPIs to measure?
Performance.
Suppliers' performance. Performance. Then KPIs can be dash or quantitative.
Qualitative or quantitative.
Perfect. It can be qualitative or quantitative.
Jocelyn, you are spoiling them.
Okay. Then question 19.
Question 19. Look at the table. What type of document is it? Okay. Choose one correct answer.
Okay.
So you have the metrics and then the compliance rate.
Good. So
we have hours of operation. 7 hours by 24 by 365 days. They have holiday support operation, full compliance. Average speed of answer, that's 20 seconds. Abandonment rate, 5%. Service portal response time, 90 minutes. First call fix rate, 85% of the tickets defined as solvable by the help desk. And response follow-up and restoration time for incidents according to severity of issues. Fully compliant to Appendix X. Severity SLA metrics. Customer service score, you have 90% as very satisfied. So is this a key performance indicator, a service level agreement,
KPI.
a confidentiality document, or a non-disclosure agreement?
Okay, what is it? It is A, eh? Okay.
It's B.
It's B.
SLA.
There is even a clue in this. There is a clue. If you read the compliance rate, I think the last but one row, fully compliant to Appendix X severity, SLA metrics. It's an SLA. So here you even see service portal response time. These are there are key performance indicators in SLAs. We should note that. It's an SLA with KPIs. In every SLA, there is a KPI. So like the catering example I used, how long should it take for a customer to be served? A customer should be served within 5 minutes after placing order. That's a KPI. And you can even have, the number of complaints. The number of complaints should not exceed, 5 daily. If more than 5 people report or complain about the food, then it means it's a problem. You see, so KPIs you see KPIs there. They are all part of service level agreement, but there's a service level agreement. Okay, all right. Then we can look at question 20.
So what's the difference between the SLA and the KPI?
KPIs are, performance measures. They are just performance measures. Service level agreements is a specification for services. So you define what you are expecting from the service. Okay. And in your expectation, you include some performance indicators. So KPIs can be applied broadly, okay, or generically, because at your organization, you have a performance appraisal annually. They use key performance indicators to appraise your performance, okay, generally. And in every service level agreement, you can use key performance indicators. That's where you have the number of complete quality issues. They are all key performance indicators that are used in service level agreement. The service level agreement is purely for services. So you are defining your service, what you are expecting from the service. Okay. But there are measures you should be able to manage. It's a contract. And how can you know if you are getting the right service? If the supplier, you need a supplier and you call the supplier and the supplier does not respond within a certain period, it's a measure of poor service, isn't it? And that is a KPI. That's a KPI. So the supplier should be able to respond. Or that's where the fixed call rate comes in. So in 1 minute, the supplier should be able to respond to the call. If you call once or twice, at least the second time, the supplier should pick up and respond. And these are all indicators of service performance. Okay, so we can use KPIs in every SLA has KPIs, but you can use KPIs without having an SLA. You can also use KPIs, but you are using it not in an SLA, but somewhere else. But every SLA has KPIs.
What shows that it's an SLA?
Oh, the service will be clear. If it is cleaning service, for cleaning service, you don't use what makes the contract for cleaning service. Oh, what makes the contract for cleaning service? It's your specification. What do you want from the cleaning service? Maybe you want them to use a particular detergent, not what they use normally. But you mention the detergent that you want them to use. The number of times you should clean your place. or clean the washroom. If it is 5 times daily, or if it should be in the morning, maybe 8 a.m., and in the afternoon, 12 a.m., p.m., and in the evening, maybe 5 p.m. You define all this so that if they are not doing it, you will know that they are not performing. And they are all part of, the SLA. You are defining the service level. What you understand to be good service. And it also informs the pricing. Because if you want the supplier to be using a particular detergent, which is more expensive than what they normally use, then they will charge you more. So SLAs, you can say, oh, I like this. And if the supplier mentions the price, you're like, it's too much. Then say, oh, if it's too much, then take some of the things out. What you like, make sure you take them out because it will inflate the cost. Okay, to inflate, you want us to use this expensive detergent, the price will go up. You want people to be in uniform when they are serving. They should all of them should be in uniform. The price will go up. You want trained, caterers, those who have gone through proper training and they have good qualification. They will have to pay them more, so the price will go up. These are all things that you may expect in the service, and if it inflates the price, you may not understand. So we already know the reason for specification. It helps you to know which elements are important and which elements are not important. So if your service, what you are defining as good service, will inflate the figures or the price, then you may want to reconsider some of the things that, then let me take this out and see if the price will come down. That's why it is also a specification. And these photographers, when you are married, if they have a lot of packages. If you need this, if you need that, some even, you may see some even costing about 5,000, depending on what you want. A service. So they have defined it for you. Maybe you get 2 portraits or 3, whatever, with soft copies and all that. They are defining it for you. So the one that you don't like, you just take them out and go for maybe the 1,500 or the 1,200 because there are a lot of packages in it that you don't like. To you, it's not an important service. So that's an example. Okay, and I will send you a typical SLA or a service level agreement, so that because it's something that you meet in subsequent models. SLA, KPI, you meet them all the time. Okay, then we can move to question 20. Hey, sorry. We are there. We are at question 20. Okay, so
okay, question 20. Which of the following relates specifically to social and environmental criteria that could be included in a service specification? Choose 4 correct answers. So you have waste disposal, types of use, transportation of people to sites, price, quantity, and noise levels.
Okay. So we are choosing 4 correct answers. So which ones are not environmental and social criteria? Identify them and let's go.
Price and quantity.
Price and quantity. And price is not a social and environmental criteria. It's an economic criteria. Quantity is also an economic criteria. So the rest, waste disposal, is environmental. The type of product used, it can be the raw material, maybe green material, transportation of people to site. So here we are talking about maybe carbon emission, the exhaust fuel is an environmental concern. Then the noise levels, is also environmental. Okay, yes. Okay, then we can move on. So there is a case.
So the answer is waste disposal.
Yes, the waste disposal, types of product used, and
Noise.
and noise level. Okay, so these are the answers. Okay, so we can proceed during a cross-functional meeting.
Okay.
Mhm.
So during the cross-functional meeting,
Mhm.
team were discussing what type of specification would best suit the outsourcing of a cleaning contract.
Okay, so a cleaning contract is a service contract,
Yeah.
So in this cleaning contract, what you are going to use is an SLA, the service level agreement. Okay, then we can proceed.
Was decided that a specification that enabled the potential suppliers to show innovation in achieving the objective was preferable, as well as type of specification to promote competition.
Okay, so we are looking at the show of innovation in the achievement of the objective was preferable, as well as the type of specification to promote competition. So here, there are two things here. One of the specifications we've looked at, conformance and performance, one promotes innovation and one promotes competition. Which one promotes competition?
Performance.
Performance. Okay. And which one also promotes innovation?
Performance.
It's performance. Okay. So further development, we can move on.
So further development meetings resulted in key performance indicators being created. But without some lengthy discussions on what acronyms should be used to ensure they were beneficial.
Okay, so KPIs. When we are developing KPIs, we said it should be that we use some acronym for KPIs, and when we get there, you choose the acronym. Okay, so please proceed.
Finally, these were written into the draft contracts for the potential suppliers to consider.
Perfect.
A lengthy discussion took place after suppliers gave feedback, asking how the KPIs would be monitored. Number-based KPIs appeared easy to measure than those based on subjective views, which posed a problem for effective and transparent contract management.
Okay, so the number-based KPIs, what are they?
Binary
or quantitative. Perfect. And the subject-based or the subject view, or the subjective views are qualitative. Those ones are opinion-based. Yes, they are qualitative. Okay. Then the next one, the next paragraph.
So the team concluded that
proceed.
The level agreements would be better placed within the contract, and the draft documents were revised and available for potential suppliers to review.
Okay.
21.
All right. 21.
What type of specification did the team decide upon? Choose the best option. Conformance, technical, or performance?
Okay.
Performance.
It's performance. So when you see technical and conformance, they are the same. Technical specification and conformance specification are the same. Yes. So it's performance we are talking about. Okay, 22.
What's another name you call performance specification?
Output-based specification. Output-based specification. Okay. All right.
So 22. What acronym should the team have decided on to create the most beneficial key performance indicator?
Okay. So, and sorry, another term for performance is also called functional. Output-based or functional specification. Okay, so sorry, Newton, please kindly read it again for us. Okay.
Question 22. What acronym should the team have decided on to create the most beneficial key performance indicators? Choose the best option. A, SMART. B, PESTO. C, SWOT.
Okay. So which one is the most beneficial acronym? Yes, which acronym are we using to develop the KPIs? That one we all know. And that's SMART. SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. Okay. Okay, so
what action should the procurement function take if SLAs were not being adhered to? Choose the best. You should end the contracts immediately. You should ignore the problem, or initially review the problem with the suppliers and try to resolve the performance issues. If this was possible, there may be a need to terminate the contract based on breach.
Okay. So which one makes more sense? So what action should the procurement function take if the SLAs were not being adhered to? Will you end the contract immediately or ignore the problem? You may not want to ignore the problem. So you have A and C. Which one will you choose? C. I may want to end the contract immediately. Yes, end the contract immediately. Do you agree?
No.
No. Why?
It's not ethical.
Yes, it's not ethical. It's not ethical. I think I'm getting feedback. I'm getting feedback. Okay. Good. So I think Newton, you can unmute and read.
Okay.
Okay.
So Jocelyn said C.
Jocelyn said C.
Yeah.
Okay. So initially review the problem with the supplier and try to resolve the performance issues. If this was not possible, there may be the need to terminate the contract based on breach. Yes, it makes more sense. It's better than ending the contract immediately. That one is too harsh. Okay, so it's ethical to behave this way. And even in sustainability, they would advise that when the supplier fails to perform, what you do is to assess the supplier. Okay, you give them continuous improvement, or you use continuous improvement to help them improve, or you develop them. You develop the supplier, or you can even, terminate the contract. That is when you have tried everything possible to get them to improve and they are not improving. That's where you think of terminating. And you can terminate. Okay, so it makes more sense. And this is more professional than the first one. End the contract immediately. Okay, question 24. Question 24.
Question 24. Why would SLAs be a more effective measurement tool for contracts management? Choose the best answer. A, they are easy to manage. B, forward and are best suited to B, they look forward and are best suited to measure non-tangible contracts. C, KPIs can never be measured.
Okay. All right. So which one do you go for? They said SLAs are more effective measurement tools for contract management. Choose the best option. And here's a reason why. Okay, so they look forward, they are easy to manage. They look forward and are best suited to measuring non-tangible contracts. And when we talk about non-tangible contracts, we are looking at service contracts. And C is KPIs can never be measured, which is wrong. KPIs can never be measured. It's false. Okay. And SLAs are easy to manage. They are not easy to manage. They are not that easy to manage. So they look forward and are best suited to measuring non-tangible contracts. Non-tangible contracts are service contracts, and they are best suited to measuring non-tangible contracts. And like I mentioned, every SLA has KPIs. Every SLA has key performance indicators. Okay. So let's move on to 25.
Question 25. Which of the following are model form contracts? Choose 3 correct answers.
Okay.
FIDIC, ISO 9001, NEC, IMEC, SL.
Okay, so let's choose the ones that are not.
SLE, IMEC, and ISO 19001.
Okay, we are choosing 3 correct answers. So it means, yes, it means 2 should be wrong.
And IMEC.
Which one?
It is FIDIC, NEC, and IMEC.
Yeah, they call it IMEC. Okay, IMEC. I think, so it's FIDIC, NEC, and IMEC. These are the 3 model form contracts. They are the 3 model form contracts. Those ones that are not. ISO 9001 is not a model form contract. It's a standard, a quality management standard. Then SLE is also not a model form contract. No. So the 3, FIDIC, NEC, IMEC, then the 4th one is JCT, or Joint Contract Tribunal, but they didn't add it. So these are the 3 model form contracts. Okay, question 26. Question 26.
In 1950, Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company Limited made an agreement with their dealer, Dew & Co, to not resell their tires below the recommended retail price. It was agreed that if Dew & Co did sell them at the retail price, they would have to pay Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company Limited £5 per tire.
Okay, so before we even drag and drop, we are saying that Dew & Co should not resell their tires below the recommended retail price. That's a requirement. Okay, it's a term. If it was agreed that if Dew & Co did sell them under the retail price, they would have to pay Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Co Limited £5 per type of tie they sell. Okay, so because it was agreed, it should be an express term, isn't it? We are looking at agreeing on the term. Okay, and the agreement is that £5 should be paid for the breach. The breach means they selling the price or the tie below the recommended retail price. So if they sold it below the recommended retail price, they will pay £5 per type of tie they sell. And this, what term or what term in a contract does this relate? This amount, which is £5, what does it relate to? Which particular term in a contract, relates to this amount? Yes, can someone help me? So there are so many terms. We looked at some contracting terms, confidentiality, payment term, pricing term, liquidated damages, indemnity and insurance, force majeure, dispute resolution. Okay.
Is a liquidated damage?
Can I try?
Yes, you can try.
Okay, so the first one, in this case, Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Co Limited is the supplier.
Okay, so Dunlop is a supplier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the £5 per tie is an example of a liquidated damage?
Yes, that's liquidated damages. Okay.
Yeah. In this case, Due and Co is the retailer.
Good. He is the retailer. Or they are the
Then
retailers.
the damage clause that was written into the contract stating that $5 be paid per tie is an express term.
It's an express term, correct. So that's it. That's it. So we are good to go. So the £5 is a liquidated damage. It's liquidated damages for breach or for Due selling the tie below the retail price. Okay, so question 27. They are making progress.
What is the amount of time granted between an invoice being raised and payments being due known as?
Okay.
Choose the correct answer.
So amount of time granted between an invoice being raised and payment being due. What is it? Is it a payment plan, payment term, payment date, or payment time? Yes. Which is the most
Payment
familiar?
Term.
Payment term is the most familiar. So payment term, payment plan, no, payment date, payment time, no, because we are talking about payment being due. Yes. So which terms are usually expressed? Choose 5 correct answers. Okay. So here we have 6. So one should be only one. One should be wrong. Which one is it?
Is it the guarantee or the goods or services being fit for the purpose?
Yes, it is goods or services being fit for purpose, because that is by statute. It's an implied term. Okay, and you remember I mentioned that terms can be implied by statute, like the Sale of Goods Act. In the Sale of Goods Act, there are provisions that the goods must be fit for purpose. If it is not fit for purpose, the buyer can reject it. These are all implied. They are implied by statute, and that is the sale of goods. It's not an express term. Being fit for purpose is not an express term. Apart from those, the rest are all express terms. Liability, subcontracting, liquidated damages, payment, guarantee. Even when you buy, fridges, they give you 5-year warranty. It's part of it. It's express. Okay. All right. Then we can get to question 29. Okay.
Says drag and drop the correct words to match the pricing definitions.
Okay. All right. So the first one, an additional percentage on top of the cost to carry out the contract. Changeable prices depending on volume. Price payable follows the market. And price is set for a period of time. So price is set for a period of time. If price is set for a period of time. Yes, you can try, Sebastian.
Okay. So the first one is an additional percentage on the top of the cost to carry out the contract is a variable. Then the changeable price depending on volume is cost plus.
Okay.
Then the price is set for a fixed period of time, is fixed.
Okay.
Then the price payable follows the market, that's pricing schedule.
Okay. All right. Do you agree? So Bastian says the first one.
With the last two.
The last two. Okay, so
But the variable and the cost plus should be interchanged.
okay. So the variable and the cost plus. So an additional percentage on top of the cost to carry out the contract. It's a cost plus arrangement. So you remember I mentioned cost plus fixed fee. Cost plus fixed fee. The fixed fee is an additional percentage. Yeah. So cost plus fixed fee, cost plus incentive fee. Okay. Then the changeable prices depending on volume. That's the price schedule. So the schedule, you can have price formulas in that. So when the schedule, when the volume changes, the price also changes. If you buy more, you pay more. If you buy less, the price, or if you buy more, you are buying more, you may pay less. But if you are buying less, you pay more. So that is the price schedule. And if you look at price payable follows the market, it means it's not fixed. When it is variable, when market rates changes, the price will also change. So it's variable. Then price is set for a period of time. That one is fixed. That's the firm fixed price. Firm fixed price. Okay. So we can take note of that. Okay, that's a very good attempt. Very good attempt. So we can move on to question 29.
Okay, it says match the keywords to the correct definitions.
Okay. So contractual terms that are agreed between two parties and written into the contract. What is it? So Jocelyn, you may want to try. You try.
That are agreed between two parties and written into the contract. Once it's written, it will be expressed.
Okay, yes, if it is written, it's express.
Contractual terms are exist even if they are not stated in the contract law of the land. That's implied.
Implied, okay.
Which cannot be legally enforceable. Hey.
You.
No.
So you don't have any option.
No.
The last
You
one.
have to use the last one.
No.
Okay, that's what usually happens. If you can at least choose 4 correct answers out of 5, the last one will be catered for. Okay. Okay, that's good. So it has been properly ordered. So ineffective contract terms are terms that are not enforceable, like exclusion clauses. An exclusion clause. I said, I will impregnate you, but I won't be responsible for the, for the pregnancy. How? How can you say you won't be responsible when you impregnated the woman? It's an unfair contract term. Yes. So all unfair contract terms are ineffective contract terms. They are ineffective contract terms. Okay. Yeah, it's like an employer telling you that, yes, you come and work in a dusty environment, but I won't provide you with face masks and all that. When you can lose your life in that environment. It's an unfair contract. They should be responsible for your health and safety at the workplace. I was listening to one fire officer, and he said they are supposed to fight fires with tunics. And the tunic, with the tunic, you can walk in the fire and save, or rescue fire victims. And their Wellington boot must be fire rated. Even their gloves must be fire rated. But the gloves they give them, they are the normal gloves. The Wellington boot is what the contractors use, or maybe what masons and all that. The normal rubber Wellington boots. It is not fire rated. Okay, so under health and safety, are these people secure? Are they safe? Can they fight fire wearing these, boots? They can't. So their health and safety has been compromised. They've been giving boots all the same, but it is not the correct boot they are supposed to give them. And the tunic, it's about 10,000 Ghana cedis. And every fire officer is supposed to buy his own tunic. which must be provided by government to these fire officers so that they can fight fire effectively. You see, so if you say you are not responsible for the safety of the worker, you are being unfair to the personnel of the worker. Okay, so we can move on. So these are all ineffective contract terms, and they are not enforceable. Yes, exclusion terms are not enforceable. So if I include an exclusion clause in the contract, I must draw your attention to it, and you must agree. If you don't agree, it won't work. But once you agree that fees paid will not be refunded to you, and you accept that you still go ahead and pay your fees, then it's an effective contract. Okay. And question 30. Okay. Question 30.
Match the keywords to the correct definitions.
Are you tired? If you are tired, let one of us rescue you. Or you are okay?
That's what?
Are you okay?
We are
or you
okay.
are tired? Okay. Then let's move on.
How many more questions do we have to go?
Oh, it's just 42, so we have 12 more questions too.
Okay. We can finish.
Okay.
Or what do you think?
Oh, yes, we can.
So 30, match the keywords to the correct definitions.
Okay. So a court judgment which is binding on future legal decisions. So if you've ever done, it's called precedent of contract. Oh yes, it's they call it judicial precedent. Yes, that's the correct term. Judicial precedent. And that one is based on decisions made by judges. So if you look at the Battle of the Form case, Battler Machine 2 Company versus SLO, the decision or the decision of the court serves as an example for subsequent, similar cases. So if the similar case happens, they will use the decision of the judge who presided on the matter on the, Battler Machine Co. Company and XLO's case to draw the same conclusion or to decide on the case or on the matter now. And that is what judicial precedent is, the court judgment which is binding on future legal decisions. So it means in future similar cases, we are going to apply the same principle. That is, precedent. Then being legally responsible for something is your liability. It's not, so that like the health and safety, your employer is supposed to be responsible for your health and safety. If he says he won't be responsible, then he's limiting his liability because by law, your employer is supposed to be responsible for your health and safety while at the workplace. That's why they need to provide PPEs and all that and ensure that you are okay at the workplace and working in a very safe and hygienic environment. So that's the liability. Okay, then a liability that exists without proof of wording. That's strict liability. Strict liability. And the proof of wording here talks about the intent. The intent. If you sell alcohol to a minor, someone who is below 18 years, strict liability makes it criminal because, yes, if you look at the beard, the person is 16, but he has grown beard. So you thought he was above 18 and you sold the drink to him. Under strict liability, you've still sold it to a minor, even though the beard deceived you into thinking he's an adult, but he's a minor. So the law will still deal with you. And strict liability also applies to situations where a carnal knowledge or someone sleeps with a minor, someone maybe 18, 15 years or 14 years or 13 years, even if it is consensual, if the lady agreed that, oh, yes, and this, I'm okay, I agree that we should have it, it is still strict liability because you had it with a minor, even if it was consensual. So these are some of the examples of strict liabilities or in torts, cases. So sometimes if you don't know, if you are not even sure of the last one, if you can get the first two correct, the last one will cater for itself. Yes. So you may not always be so sure, but at least if out of the three you're able to get two correctly, at least the last one you just fix it there, and that will be it. Okay, so we can move on to question 31. So we should see this as additional information. That's why I try to explain them. Okay, so question 31, let's move on.
Just match the keywords to the correct definitions.
Okay. So a security or protection against loss, usually by way of financial recompense. Yes. What is it? So if I promise that I will compensate you for the losses suffered during the execution of the contract, it's an indemnity. It's an indemnity clause. Okay, so a security or protection against loss, usually by way of financial recompense, is indemnity. Indemnity. I will indemnify you. Okay, then the ability of purchasers to deduct debts that are owed under one contract from payments that are due on different contracts. Okay, so you owe me in one contract. Yes. So the ability of purchasers to deduct debts that are owed under one contract from payments that are due on different contracts. That is the right of set off. The right of set off. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the last one. It says a person's pledge. Yes. So let's proceed. Don't worry. A person's pledge of labor or services as security for the repayment of a debt or other obligation where there is no hope of actually repaying the debt.
That's debt bondage.
That one is debt bondage. Okay, so if that is debt bondage, then where should we put right of set off?
The second one.
That will be the second one. You get it. So debt bondage is the last one. The last one, yes. A person's pledge of labor or service as security for repayment of debt or other obligation where there is no hope of actually repaying the debt. So you keep working, you work. You may not even know when you finished paying. Okay, so question 32.
So the following are likely to feature within an output specification.
Okay. So I think question 32, you read 33.
Okay, sorry. 32. Which of the following is a provision in the contract under which one party commits to compensate the other for any harm or loss arising out of the contract?
Okay, so which one is that?
Compensate when out of the contract.
Indemnity.
Yes, that's indemnity. Yeah, security against losses. So that's indemnity. So indemnity. Okay, then question 33. Question 33. Okay. Meeting, you're tired. You let me help you.
So the following
Mm.
output specification.
Okay. Which of the following are likely to feature within an output specification? Okay. So output specification is performance-based specification. The same as performance specification or functional specification. So which of these are likely to feature? But we can take some out. You remember I mentioned technical specification is the same as conformance. So these two are out. They are not output based. Okay. Conformance standard is out. So 4. Technical input is also conformance. Technical specification is conformance. So we are left with 1 and 3. So product functions. Yes, the functionality. That's why it's called functional specification. Then 3, performance requirements. So the performance requirements or the output. Okay, so we have 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Okay. All right. So question 34.
The procurement manager has negotiated a firm fixed price throughout the contract's duration of 2 years. Was this the right thing to do?
Okay.
Hey, no. Because even if these contracts, because even with these contracts, the pricing can change.
Is it true?
No, because this is an unfair term. And therefore, it's not legally binding. See, yes, because this has provided certainty and so an aid to budgeting. Yes, because this type of pricing will always be better than a spot price.
Okay. So the first one, it said firm fixed price throughout the contract duration for 2 years. Yes, he has negotiated. Was this the right thing to do? Already we know that firm fixed pricing is something that is done. You can ask the supplier to give you a firm fixed price. So it's the right thing to do, isn't it? So, so if it is yes, then we have only 2 options, which is C and D. So we don't even waste time with A and B. It's the right thing to do. But why should we use firm fixed price? And that's where the advantages of firm fixed pricing comes in. So C, yes, because this has provided certainty, and so it's an aid to budgeting. It helps you budget once you know that this is the amount you are paying the contractor, which is fixed. Then D, yes, because this type of pricing will always be better than a spot price. Is it true? No.
No.
Because suppliers even don't like it. Suppliers don't like this firm fixed price. They don't. Because it makes them less competitive. Their prices are usually higher. If it's a spot price, it is today, so we can reduce it for you because even the payment and you are paying on delivery. So the price will be better than a firm fixed price, which is subject to market changes. So for like the cement I used, the supplier will not use today's price of a bag of cement to do the calculation. We inflate it. If it is 50 now, we would use 70 or 80 Ghana cedis to do his calculation, and that may increase the price. So D is wrong. That yes, because this type of pricing will always be better than the spot price. It can't be better than the spot price. It can't. Okay. So our answer here is C. Yes, because this has provided certainty, and so it is an aid to budgeting. It's an aid to budgeting. Yes, it helps you plan or budget. They call it an administrative simplicity. Okay, question 35.
AIDS Group is seeking to encourage one of its key suppliers to improve its contract delivery performance. This group wants to encourage the supplier to identify cost savings and ways to enhance quality. So the following would help: gain share, indexation, liquidated damages, service credits.
Okay, so here these are incentives. Which one do you think will allow the supplier to? So ACE wants to encourage the supplier to identify cost savings and ways to enhance quality. Which of these should he use?
Then gain share.
Gain share. Yes. Gain share. We share. If you make savings, we share the savings. That is it. Liquidated damages, that one, an amount should be paid for breach. Then service contracts. You see, sorry, service credit. When we talk about service credits, it is deducting the amount you are supposed to pay or taking an amount from the actual amount you are supposed to pay the supplier for performing fully. Okay, so if the supplier fails to perform, you take an amount. Maybe if his performance is 90%, you take 10% out of the contract sum. Because that's service credit. Because you did not derive the full benefit from the contract. So what you are supposed to pay the supplier, you take it out. And it's something that you agree. So the supplier is aware that if he doesn't meet the performance level, or if you don't get 100% performance, you take a certain amount from it. And even sometimes our suppliers may even do that. If they realize what they were supposed to do for you, they were unable to do it to your satisfaction. They can ask you to pay something less than what was agreed. You see, so that's how service contract works. But it's a disincentive. It won't help in this case. It's a disincentive. So gain share will do. Gain share will do. Okay. As for indexation, forget it. You are just using indices, price indices, commodity price index, and all. They do not motivate. Okay. Question 36. I think we have 6 more questions to go.
When is the best time for the buyer's express terms to be provided to the supplier in a competitive bidding process with negotiation?
Okay.
At the contract kickoff meeting, when the negotiation is nearing completion, with the contract award notification as part of the invitation to tender.
Okay. So when is it the best time for the buyer's express term to be provided to the supplier? When? The contract kickoff meeting, when the negotiation is nearing completion with the contract award notification. Contract award notification do not include terms. That's not when you are including the term, when the contract has been awarded. The award notification does not include terms. So at least we know that one is right. When the negotiation is nearing completion, that is when you introduce express terms. The contract kickoff, it should be part of the invitation to tender. When developing your invitation, so every standard invitation to tender has terms already in the express terms. So should be part of the invitation to tender. Okay. Question 37. Question 37. So you can read it for us.
Which of the following are often used in conjunction with service level agreements as part of the performance management regime to encourage the supplier to meet the buyer's requirements?
Okay.
Service guarantees, service credits, service warranties, and service.
Okay. So in this case, you are talking about service credit. So that was what I just explained. And they're usually used in service level agreements. If we don't get the service level that we want, we won't pay you the full amount. That's service credit. We won't pay you the full amount. Okay, and it's something that is agreed. The supplier already knows that, and it's meant to encourage the supplier to perform.
So 38.
Mm-hmm.
A major public body
Mm-hmm.
maintaining a large and diverse property estate comprising more than 100 buildings in multiple locations across the country.
Mm-hmm.
To maintain this property estate, which of the following is likely to be the most effective arrangement between the organization and suppliers? Framework agreement, one-off purchase, spot transaction, purchase orders.
Okay. So 100 buildings in multiple locations around the country. Hundred buildings in multiple locations around the country. To maintain this property estate, which of the following is likely to be the most effective arrangement between the organization and suppliers? So maintaining the property estate is one thing. Okay. Okay. So which one should we use? One-off purchase, spot transactions, purchase orders. Now we should, okay. Let me give you the answer to choose. I think Sebastian is gone, Joshua is also gone. The time. Okay. So let's finish. Yeah, so with this supplier, 38. Here, purchase orders don't work. Spot transactions. One-off purchase doesn't even work. Yeah. So framework agreement is straightforward. That one is a perfect approach to use. So a major public body maintain a large and diverse property estate comprising more than 100 buildings in multiple locations around the country. To maintain this property estate, which of the following is likely to be the most effective arrangement? So we are talking about maintenance framework. Framework agreement is that. Okay. Then question 39.
Okay, question 39. A large manufacturing group is going through a period of investment, under which a number of its facilities will close on a short-term basis for refit and upgrade works to be undertaken.
Okay.
The CPO is concerned about the impact of the organization's ability to meet customer orders. Should any of the work carried out by the suppliers overrun? In respect of this particular concern, the CPO should consider using which of the following contractual terms with these liquidated damages jurisdiction.
Okay. Insurance, force majeure, liquidated damages, and jurisdiction. So which, in respect of this particular concern, the Chief Procurement Officer should consider using which of the following contractual terms with these suppliers? Okay, so we can read it again for another understanding. A large manufacturing group is going through a period of investment, under which a number of its facilities will close on a short-term basis for refit and upgrade works to be undertaken. The CPU is concerned about the impact on the organization's ability to meet customer orders should any of the work carried out by suppliers overrun. So we are talking about, project overrun. Yes, so if it's overrun, it means it will affect us. So the overrun is like, wrong delivery time. In respect of this particular concern, the CPU should consider using which of the following contractual terms with the suppliers. So should they use jurisdiction? Jurisdiction is even not a term. So insurance costs and indemnity. Force majeure is out. Yes. So we want to tell the supplier that if you don't deliver on time, it will affect us. So what should we use to motivate the supplier to perform or deliver on time? Yes, liquidated damages. Because we don't want the supplier to overrun. Yes.
Okay.
If he does that, it will affect our
timelines.
Our timelines. We won't be also able to supply to our customers on time. Okay, question 40.
Which of the following would typically be included with the invitation to tender? Say the three that apply.
Okay, in an invitation to tender, the purchase order will not be part of an invitation to tender. Requisition will not be part of an invitation to tender. And the term mandate here will also not be part of an invitation to tender because it doesn't even make sense
at all.
Doesn't. So our specification will be part of an invitation to tender. Terms and conditions will be there. Then performance measures, our KPIs, they will also be there. Okay, question 41. Yes, we have 2 more questions to go. Under general, so let me help you, Newton. Okay, let me read these 2 questions so that you can relax or you can rest.
Me?
Yes, or you are not tired. Okay, then please go ahead. Okay.
So under general legal principles of contract formation, which of the following will always automatically result in the termination of an offer? Select 2 that apply.
So termination of an offer.
Acceptance and revocation.
Acceptance and revocation. Once an offer is accepted, it is terminated.
Yes.
I make an offer, you accept it. It ends it. When I also revoke an offer, it's terminated. Revoking means withdrawing an offer. Yes, this is what I'm selling. I'm not selling it anymore. I've revoked it. So that is the rest. Negotiation, variation, non-disclosure, they don't come at all. Then the last question
says, which of the following are reasons why standard contracts forms are usually, question 42. Which of the following are reasons why standard contract forms are used so frequently? Choose 3 correct answers.
Okay. Because will always be acceptable in all contracts. So standard contract forms are always acceptable in all contracts. Is it true?
False.
No.
Okay, so that's a wide acceptance within industries. So standard contract forms. Yes.
It's true.
Now, you see, one thing we should note is that CIPS in level 5, they use standard forms for model form. Okay. So when you see standard term, that one is different from standard form. Let's take note. The standard form is the same as the model form. Yes. It's the same as the model form. So let's take note. So in reviewing the answers, we should think of model form and not standard term contract. Okay. So when you see standard contract forms, it's the same as model forms. All right. So will always be acceptable in all contracts. That is, Then wide acceptance within industries.
That's true.
That's true. terms are commonly broadly understood. That's true. Yes, terms are understood. The buyer knows his terms and supply, and contractual dispute will be avoided. That one. No. Model form contracts even have a dispute resolution clause. Then having applicability in all international markets. In all international markets. No. Avoids the need to negotiate bespoke terms.
Yeah.
It does not even, allow you to negotiate that much or bespoke terms, because most of the terms are favorable. They favor both parties, the buyer and the supplier. So you don't even need to negotiate. There's no need. Yes. There's no need to negotiate. The terms are favorable. They favor both parties. So these are the options. These are the options. And I know that this is an additional information. This is just to prepare you. Once you go through the book, you listen to the videos or the audios, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right. So thanks for your time. We are through. We will meet.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
boss.
Okay. Have a good day then. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Jocelyn, bye.
Bye.